Now, as the title shows that you may be aware of that these are having two aspects. One is that what is COVID-19 pandemic, and the second aspect is how the judiciary is working as a disaster manager. So, in these two parts of my lecture, first I will throw the light on the COVID-19 pandemic, not as a scientist. Mind this thing that I am not a scientist, so I'll be talking on the COVID-19 pandemic not as a scientist but as a legal scientist. So as we all know and are being still being known through the newspaper, social media, and otherwise also, as to what is corona, how it become the COVID-19, what are the various stages through which we have to maintain the social distancing, the persons are being quarantined, and at the same time the death score of this COVID-19, which is always in the increasing size, or it is on the higher side every time. And now India is reaching to the fifth or fourth stage in the world number of this corona deaths and the positive cases of the corona. So as we all know that the corona pandemic that was first reported in Wuhan, that was in China, and it was reported to WHO, World Health Organization, on 31st December. So after that, the World Health Organization was coming with this investigation, and then on 11th March, this World Health Organization has declared this corona as a pandemic, because the scientists who were working in the virology lab in Wuhan, they have recognized this coronavirus as the new novel coronavirus, and this disease was known as the COVID-19, that is coronavirus disease 2019, because it started in 2019. So after that, we see that in India, the corona patients were also being marked, and they were also, we can say, come to the Indian land. The point here is that in India, the first lockup was, or lockdown was made or declared only on 25th March. And since 25th March till 31st May, we were all in the lockdown, or we can say in the de facto quarantine. Now the question is that in that corona or COVID-19 pandemic, what are the various stages through which we can say that it is being spread in the society, in the community, or it is being spread or infecting the person concerned. So, as the medical experts, they have told that there are four stages of the COVID. The first stage is said to be the person who is coming from the foreign land to India and is carrying that virus with him. So that is corona affected or corona positive person. He is coming to India. This is the stage one. The second stage was considered to be the local spread, and that local spread was considered that the person who has brought that corona with him and is residing in the family, so the other family members, they are being infected. So this is the local infection. The third infection, or the third stage of that corona, was considered to be the community spread. And in that community spread, the family members or the persons or relatives who are coming to the person concerned who has brought this from the foreign land, and then they are going here and there and are meeting the persons in the society. So this is the third stage of the corona, that is known as the community spread. And finally, it was the final stage was considered to be of the epidemic stage, that is, it has to be spread to the entire society, entire country, entire state. So in that backdrop, we can say that the corona has come in India, and the first lockdown started on 25th March. But prior to that, the judiciary has started working, because now I am going to speak on the judiciary as a disaster manager. So we have to be aware about that, what the judiciary has done, and what were the laws on the basis of which the judiciary was doing all these things. So, so far as the law is concerned, as very well told by Professor Yadav, the Vice Chancellor, that we were having a very vintage law, that is of 1897. This is Epidemic Disease Act. So under that law, the states have also started imposing the lockdown and working and making the persons quarantine, and also for the social distancing. Now, this 1897 Act was recently amended and modified on 22nd April 2020 by bringing that the ordinance, that is Epidemic Disease Amendment Ordinance 2020, wherein something new has been added upon in that particular act, which is only of the 4 sections, so that the situations which are coming up because of the lockdown, because of the social distancing, because of the corona patients, so that this may be properly tackled, and that's why the amendment was made in the 1897 Act. And the second thing which I would like to tell you is that the law which under which this quarantine and social distancing and punishment and penalties were being imposed, that was of 2005, that is this is Disaster Management Act. Now, Disaster Management Act is having many sections, and which confers the power on making certain authorities, whether it is at national level, state level, then at district level also. So these authorities have to work accordingly and to meet out the situation which is creating the disaster, and how to manage those things. This was all related to provisions are there in the this Disaster Management Act of 2005. Now, besides that, another provision which was being implemented by the authorities in India, that was the Indian Penal Code, and Section 188 as well as 269, 270. These were the provisions which were being applied by the executive in India to meet out the situation. Then Criminal Procedure Code Section 144 was also there. Now we have to see that whether there is any provision relating to this system, this quarantine, this isolation, or making the laws for the infectious disease or not. So we have to see the Constitution of India first, because this is considered to be the supreme law of the land, and for that the supreme law of land has also provided under 7th schedule. Now, 7th schedule is a schedule wherein the items have been mentioned on which the particular competent body shall legislate. And there are 3 lists in the Schedule 7. List 1 is relating to the union list, list 2 is the state list, and list 3 is the concurrent list. So there is provision for quarantine and isolation and interstate migration also, that is given under entry 81 of the list 1, that is union. The parliament can enact the law relating to the quarantine and for isolation as well as for the interstate migration in these matters. And the second point which I must tell you is that entry 29 of list 3rd. So entry 29 of the list 3rd is related to the making of the laws in the infectious diseases, and this power is conferred on both. It is on the state as well as on the center, because the list 3rd is a list which is known as the concurrent list, and both center and state can legislate. So entry 29 is there, on which conferring the power on the state and the center to legislate on that infectious diseases, etc., etc. So here is the power where from the law can be enacted, and by the state as well as by the center. The quarantine law may be enacted by the center, that is by the parliament, and this is the power which is conferring from the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India. So the law is only related to the which is coming from the Constitution. The parliament and the state can make the law. The laws have been made, as very rightly pointed out by the Honorable Vice Chancellor, that this Epidemic Disease Act of 1897 was also imposed and enforced in various states. So the power is there under entry 29 of list 3rd, that they can enact that. And so on that basis, they have made certain regulations and certain laws so that it may be implemented. So states have taken their lead in various matters, we can say, and after that, it is the time for the judiciary. So executive is doing its work by declaring the lockdown and all these, maintaining the social distancing. So that has been done. The second thing is relating to the legislature, and legislature has also, we can say, amended the old law of 1897 by bringing the ordinance in 2020 on 22nd April. Now, the third wing of the state, that is judiciary. And being a large democracy, we all look for the for this judiciary, that judiciary as a protector of our fundamental rights, the judiciary as a guardian of our rights, judiciary as the interpreter of the constitutional provisions, and thereby it is the judiciary which can give justice to the common man. So on that basis, we see that judiciary as a disaster manager, because we see that this is the situation where not only India but the entire globe was in the clutch of the coronavirus, and there was nothing, like we don't have any vaccine till now. And as the scientist says that it will take more than 3 years to develop a vaccine for this corona or COVID virus. So in that situation, how to manage the things, how to do the things. Now this is the chance of the judiciary, that the judiciary has suo motu, given certain directions. The judiciary has accepted certain public interest litigations. The judiciary has also considered certain news items also as a public interest litigation, and had given directions so that the fundamental rights of the common man, the fundamental rights of the citizen, and fundamental rights of the person may not be violated, and they may have their rights very well exercised. Now, where is the power with the judiciary, that it is working on the basis of the giving directions suo motu or accepting the public interest litigation? So being a student of law who may be joining this lecture, they all may be aware about that India is a country which is covered by the rule of law. And under the Constitution of India itself, this is the beauty of the Indian Constitution, we see that Article 32 of the Constitution, which is under part 3rd of the Constitution, that is fundamental rights, and right to move to the court for the remedy for getting against the violation of any of the fundamental right, that again is a right. So nowhere in the Constitution of the world right to move to the court is a fundamental right, but in India this is one of the fundamental right, and that is covered under Article 32 of the Constitution. So under Article 32, one can move to the court of law for remedy of his right as violation of the fundamental right. This is one thing. The second thing is that which is there in the Constitution, that Article 142. And Article 142 is relating to the doing of complete justice. A power with the Supreme Court, that if it seems fit for the Supreme Court that the justice is not being given, or there is certain violation, some orders have to be issued, some directions have to be given, then the Supreme Court can give this direction, can pass an order. Why? To do the complete justice. So now what the Supreme Court is doing in this case, or in this period of the corona, because it is not over. Though the lockdown is over, but the corona will continue, as we have to learn to coexist with the corona. And it is up to the individual now, that how we have to take our own care, because the legislature has done its job, the executive has done its job. It is not only the right to life matter, it is a lifestyle matter, it is also the work style matter, it is also a matter that is a fight against the hunger. So in this respect, how the judiciary is working as a disaster manager, how the judiciary is managing the thing, this is the main focus of this lecture. And I have taken certain cases or certain directions of the Supreme Court, which it has started giving since March 13th. That is on 10th March, we see that the social distancing has been implemented, or this policy for the social distancing has been implemented. And that was the period when the holy vacations were going on. And the Supreme Court, after reopening after holy vacations on 13th of March, it started giving directions suo motu. Suo motu, that means by itself, on its own, by going through newspaper items, by going through the social media. and by knowing that these are the situations in which the order has to be given. So, suo motu action has been taken by the judiciary to manage this disaster, to disaster of what? Disaster of this coronavirus spread. So, right from the day one after the reopening, what the Supreme Court has done, that Chief Justice Bobde, S.R. Bobde ji, and with some other judges at Attorney General, Solicitor General, and some health experts, what they did, that they have decided to suspend the daily list. We may be aware of the things that there are 14 courts in the Supreme Court. And these 14 courts are taking more than 700 cases per day. And in that per day cases, we see that there are a large crowd that comes to the court daily. And in order to avoid that crowd, the social distancing has to be maintained. What the Supreme Court has done, that the Supreme Court has particularly given this idea that yes, we will be there, and we will limit the coming of these persons who are coming to the court daily on daily basis. And then what has to be done, then the court's number has been reduced. Why? Because to maintain the social distancing, and the court number was made only 10 and in 12, and in that 12 court numbers, what was there, that the persons, they will come, and at the same time they will see that the crowd may not be there in the premises of the Supreme Court, so that the social distancing can be maintained, and there should not be any interpersonal contact between the potential carriers and the recipients of the coronavirus. Because the time that testing of the coronavirus patient was very less at that time on 13th March, and nobody knows that who are the persons who may be having or carrying this virus with him or her. So in order to prevent that interpersonal contact, the Supreme Court has given the direction and take the matters that only emergent matters, only urgent matters will be taken by the court, and the number of the courts have been reduced. Now, when the number of the courts have been reduced, then the another situation that may come before the Supreme Court is that how it would be possible for the persons whose cases have to be filed, and the last date is going to be limited by that limitation act. So in that matter, the Supreme Court started giving its direction. Now, the Supreme Court has given directions for the children, for the women, for the prisoners, for the migrant laborers. That is the entire society, the persons who are mostly, we can say, coming across with that coronavirus impact. So, first of all, I'd be giving you the case number one that was decided by the Supreme Court on 18th March 2020, and that was in regarding closure of midday meal scheme. As we all know that the midday meal scheme is one of the scheme of the government, and whereby the children, they have been provided the midday meal during the school hours, and at the same time in Anganwadi also these type of the food facilities are being made available, and this is under a particular midday meal scheme. Now, the second thing is that we all know that due to the closure and lockdown, the things have been, the schools have been, all schools have been closed down. The Anganwadis workers, they were not going to that places to maintain the social distancing. And in that situation, what has to be done? Because there was a paper reporting that because of the midday meal scheme has been stopped, the schools have been closed down, and the Anganwadi are not working properly. So in that situation, what has to be done? So the Supreme Court has taken the suo motu cognizance of non-availability of the midday meals for children due to the coronavirus shutdown. And Honorable Chief Justice S.R. Bobde and Honorable Justice B.R. Gavai and Justice Suryakant, these were the three judges bench of the Supreme Court. They had given that direction in this particular case in regarding closure of midday meal scheme, and this was the order dated 18th of March. So the court said that in view of the matter, it is necessary that all the states should come forward and should come out with a uniform policy so as to ensure that while preventing spread of COVID-19, the schemes for providing nutritional food to the children and nursing and lactating mothers are not adversely affected. So that the Supreme Court has taken the lead in giving a suo motu direction for whom? For the children as well as for those lactating mothers, that they should not be stopped by this provision of the midday meal scheme. And thereby the Supreme Court has also appointed one amicus curiae, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, Sanjay Hegre ji, that he has to give the report as to what is going on in this and whether the midday meal is being provided to the children and to the others or not. So this has to be taken care of. Then another direction which was taken suo motu by the Supreme Court, that was in recognizance for extension of limitation. In recognizance for extension of limitation, and that was the order of dated 23rd March. As I told you that the Supreme Court has started reducing the number of courts, reducing its working, started its working through the video conferencing. So there were so many persons who have to file their cases, who have to file their applications, suits, appeals in various courts and tribunals in the country. And because of the shutdown, because of the lockdown, and because of the reducing of the number, they may not go to file their cases. So in that situation, the law would remain there. Limitation Act would be there. If a case has to be filed within 3 years, then the limit would be 3 years. But because of this shutdown, what to do? So the Supreme Court has taken a cognizance in that matter, and the name of the case which has been cited is that in recognizance for extension of limitation, and it was an order of 23rd March, wherein the Supreme Court has extended the limitation period for what? For filing petition, for filing applications, for filing the suits, appeals, to all, whether it is in Supreme Court, whether it is in High Court, whether it is in the other district courts, whether it is in a tribunal, in a labor court, so wherever. So it has been extended. So next issue which the Supreme Court has taken again on 23rd March, that was related to the prisoners. And that is very important. We all know that India is a country where as per the NCRB report, National Crime Research Bureau, that by that report very latestly, we know that there are 1,339 prisons in India. This is reported by the court in this particular case, and the name of the case is in recontagion of COVID-19 virus in prisons. In recontagion of COVID-19 virus in prisons, and that was the order of 23rd March. So we know that there are 1,339 prisons in India, which is having the prisoners number of 4,66,084 prisoners. And the jail occupancy according to this NCRB report is 117.6%, wherein we see that the UP is having 176.5% occupancy in the jail, and Sikkim, that is another state which is having 157.3% of the occupancy in the jail. That is overcrowded. The point here is that these prisons are overcrowded, and the scheme of the legislature of the executive is to maintain the social distancing. So in that situation, when the total occupancy of the jail or prison is 117.6%, in that situation it becomes necessary that the prisoners they have to be released either on parole or on interim bail. So the Supreme Court has taken a suo motu direction in that contagion of COVID-19 virus in prisons, and order was given on 23rd March, whereby the court said that because these prisoners are to be brought on the jail on daily basis for various purposes, they are being called for, and therefore Justice S.R. Bobde, Chief Justice, and Nageshwar Rao, the bench of this division bench of the Supreme Court, they have taken it very seriously, and the Supreme Court has directed all the states and the union territories to set up the high level committees and then to determine the cases of prisoners that could be released on parole or interim bail for 4 to 6 weeks, that is convicted, charged of an offense for the jail term of which is not more than 7 years. That is up to 7 years. If a person is in prison, then he may be thought about releasing either on parole or on interim bail. So this was the decision of the Supreme Court. Now, another case wherein we find that the Supreme Court has taken the lead, that is related to the fake news item. Now, when for the first time this corona virus, we can say, spread was made known to the public, and it was considered that the lockdown will be continued because we were all having the news items in through the news channels and newspapers as such, and everybody was saying that this 1 week lockdown or one day, that was first, that is of 22nd March, that this would be continued for a longer time. This would not be stopped at 15 days or for 2 weeks. So this would continue. So these type of the news were started, and this has created a panicky in the persons, particularly the migrant laborers, particularly the persons who were daily wagers and others also, so that the fake type news were started coming up. And here, one of the public interest litigation was filed by one of the advocate of the Supreme Court, and that is Ajay Alok Shrivastava. That is of Union of India, and the order was of 31st March 2020. And here the court said that don't create panic by fake or misleading news. And Supreme Court has said to the media that on the plight of the migrant workers, because they have started moving and because they were knowing that everything is shut down now and they'll not be having any food to for a food or anything else, or their daily or livelihood is being gone, and this would be continued for a longer period. So what to do? And they have started moving from the places where they were working. So in this type of situation, the Supreme Court has given a direction in this particular case, Alak Alok Srivastava, that this type of the news item should not be published in the newspaper. And at the same time, the Supreme Court has also asked the ministry, the Home Ministry, that so that the newspapers, they may not publish the fake news, there must be a bulletin to be released on every day after 5 o'clock, so that the proper news or the correct news may be published. So this was the case where the directions were given by the Supreme Court to the ministry also to release the news bulletin every day, so that the fake news may not be there. Then another case was relating to this mask and sanitizers, because we all know that when this first lockdown was started, and this mask and sanitizers rates were hyped by the businessmen. Anybody if is going to take or purchase the mask or sanitizers, either it would be not the shopkeeper was saying that it is not available, or if it is available, that on the very high rates they were being made available. So this was the situation. So another case was filed before the Supreme Court, Justice for Right Foundation. Justice for Rights Foundation versus Union of India, and the case decision was given by the Supreme Court on 3rd April. That we are making the mask and sanitizers, etc., available to the person at reasonable prices, because the Supreme Court has given the direction to the state government and the central government that tell us whether these mask and sanitizers are being black marketing or not. And the government said that no, we are preparing this and we are making this mask and sanitizers and we'll make it available to the person concerned. So this is another, we can say, managing operation done by the Supreme Court in this Justice for Rights Foundation versus Union of India. Then another case which was related to the children. The first was related to the midday meal, and the second was of the in recontagion of COVID-19, in recontagion of COVID-19 virus in children protection house or child protection homes. And this was the order of 3rd April 2020. Now, we know that the child who are the future of of a state, and the child, they are of two types as per the Juvenile Justice Act. We know that one is the child in need of the care and attention, and the second is child in conflict with the law. So the childs who are in care and attention and the child who are in conflict with law, they are not with their parents, they are not with their families, and they have been put to the protection homes, to the welfare homes, and to some other child care committees. And in this situation, they are there. Like what they were not with their parents, they are orphan child, they are street children. So these type of the children who are put in the protection home. So how to save those children, their tender, considering their tender age, the Supreme Court has issued a so moto direction on 3rd April 2020, wherein the Supreme Court has given extensive directions to the protection of to protect the child in the protection homes from the spread of coronavirus. So the measures to be taken by the Child Welfare Committee, Juvenile Justice Board, by government, and the child care institutions, to see that the children should not watch. What? The children should not watch, they should not read, they should not listen, they should not discuss about the COVID or coronavirus, because of the tender age, because of their mildness in the mind, or regarding their age or the growing age, they should not discuss all these things. So what has to be done? The directions have been given by the Supreme Court to the Protection Home and Child Welfare Committee, to the Juvenile Justice Board, so that they may not discuss, they may not watch the television, they may not listen or read the news regarding the COVID, and to divert their attention, they should be engaged in some other types of the activities which are relative and suitable to their age. At the same time, the court has also directed that 1098, that is a helpline for the children, that this 1089 helpline should be made operational, and so that there should not be any difficulty for any person, so that this has to be there. Now, this is a direction of the Supreme Court, for whom this was the direction of the Supreme Court for the children in the protection home. But at the same time, the direction was also extended by the Supreme Court in this particular case to the women also. And the case which was decided by the Supreme Court was Rishad Murtaja versus Union of India. Rishad Murtaja versus Union of India, which was directed on 21st April, that whatever directions have been given by the Supreme Court in the matters of the protection of child in the protection home, those all are extended to the women's also, who are living in the shelter houses or women shelters or some government shelter houses where they are residing, so that they may also be not coming under exposure of this coronavirus is spread. Then another thing which was started was that video conferencing. So the Supreme Court issued the guidelines on functioning of the court through video conferencing in order to maintain the social distancing. And the guidelines were issued that the video conferencing shall be there, and to avoid this coronavirus spread, and the order was of 6th April. So the case is in re-guidelines for court functioning through video conferencing. Another direction which was given by the Supreme Court was that to ensure that the prisoners released on parole, they are not left stranded due to lockdown. And they have to be taken care with that. The prisoners who have been released on bail or on parole or on interim bail, then where they are, that a surveillance has to be there. And in recontagion, this direction was also given. Then another case was Shashank Dev Sudhi versus Union of India. Shashank Dev Sudhi versus Union of India, that was a case where the court has given the direction that don't charge exorbitant fees, because once it was suspected to the person that he is being affected by the coronavirus, then he was going to the hospitals, and for the clinics for testing and of that corona positive or negative for that test. And again, as I told you, in case of the mask or sanitizers, the doctors, they were also charging very, very exorbitant and high fees. And here the court has asked the center to take care and to have a look that these private hospitals or these clinics, they should not charge exorbitant or high fees for testing the coronavirus. And this was the direction given by the Supreme Court in Shashank Dev Sudhi versus Union of India. Then another case in which the Supreme Court has given the direction, that was of Jeril Baneth. It was Jeril Baneth versus Union of India, and the case was of April 8th, 2020. And this was the case relating to the directions of the court, where this was the time when the second, we can say, lockdown period was started, and the persons who were put in the quarantine, then they were moving from the places where they were quarantined on the point that they were not being provided proper food, or they have been not given proper medicine, or there is no place to live as a quarantine. So they were moving out from that quarantine places, and thereby they were also attacking and injuring the doctors, the other paramedical forces, and as well as they were also damaging the property where they have been quarantined, whether it is hospital premises or some other places. So in that, another direction was given by the Supreme Court in Jeril Ganesh versus Union of India case, that the doctors and healthcare professionals are warriors, and they are to protect them. If they will not be there, then the persons who are corona positive and who are in the hospitals, who are quarantined, they will not get any remedy, they will not get any treatment. So they have to be treated as warriors, and proper care has to be taken of those warriors. And this is because of this direction of the Supreme Court of 8th April. We see that on 22nd April, the Parliament, the Union of India, that is the government at the center, they have come up with the amendment in the Epidemic Disease Act of 1897, because the warriors, the doctors, the healthcare professionals, they all were being ill treated by the persons who were quarantined. Then another case was brought before the Supreme Court, wherein the Supreme Court has given the direction, that is Amit Sahani versus Union of India. Amit Sahani versus Union of India of April 7th, 2020, where a case was brought before the Supreme Court that all the prisoners who are above 50 years of age, they should be released on parole. Now the Supreme Court has not given this direction as a it has refused to pass as a blanket order, because as I told you that the Supreme Court has already taken care of that those persons who are in the prison and who are serving the jail up to the for a crime or an offense which is up to 7 years, they have to be released on parole or interim bail. Then there is no reason that it has to issue a blanket order that all the prisoners who are above 50 years, they may be released on bail or on parole. So the Supreme Court this time has refused to give any order. Now this is the time when the Supreme Court has seen that various persons were coming to the court of law in order to have certain directions from the court, and not only for the purpose of giving or remedying the persons who are in the coronavirus conflict or in this clutch, but also to have their own publicity. And the Supreme Court has not given those directions which were only for the purpose of publicity. And but whenever the Supreme Court found that yes, this is a real cause, the Supreme Court has acted as a manager for that disaster, and it has given the directions. So another decision which was given by the Supreme Court was that again it is Shashank Dev Sudhi, that was the order of 13th April, and the case was brought before the Supreme Court that everyone should be given free testing kit, and it has to be made free or only to the economical weaker section. So the court said no. we cannot give any direct order that everyone should be given a testing kit free. But we will direct to the concerned government that the persons who are really economic weaker section of the society, they should be provided with the free testing kits of the coronavirus. So here the Supreme Court has considered the point, but without giving any blanket decision for free testing kits, it has made a applied its discretion by making a distinction between those persons who can do their testing with money and the persons who cannot do. So this free testing kits would be available only who are the economically weaker sections of the society. Then another case which was decided by the Supreme Court was that relating to the payment of the minimum basic wages to the migrant workers. Now, Harsh Mandar versus Union of India. It was the case of the Harsh Mandar versus Union of India, decided on 21st April. Now, in this Harsh Mandar case, Harsh Mandar, as you may be aware, that he's a journalist and he has brought a suit petition before the Supreme Court that during COVID-19, the daily workers, the migrant workers, they have been their places of work, they have been shut down and they are now on um, hand to mouth, and there was no salary being given to those persons. Though the Finance Ministry as well as the Ministry of Home Affairs, they all have released the orders right from 20th March and 29th March that they will be paid the salary by their contractors, by their employers. So the salary has to be given, but in fact the salary was not being given. And secondly, the persons who are migrant workers and the persons who are daily wages, so where from they'll get the salary? So this particular writ petition was filed as a public interest litigation by Harsh Mandar, and the court said that the court is leaving this issue of the payment of minimum wages of the migrant workers to the center. That it is the duty of the executive to decide and to give the directions to the employers under various acts, because we all know that there are Condition of Services Act of the Migrant Workers or Interstate Migrant Workers Act of 1979. And there are so many codes because we all know that there are 44 labor laws act, and which are now in the process of making 4 codes. So one code, wage code, is already there. The other codes on which the work is going on, and because of this coronavirus and the parliament is not in session, so that could not be passed timely. So the court said that no, we will not give any direction that every migrant worker has to be paid minimum basic wages. This is the duty of the center, and the center has to work upon, because we all know under part 4th of the Constitution Directive Principles, there are certain obligations on the state relating to living wages, relating to the minimum wages, and on that basis the center has to work. Then another case which was brought before the Supreme Court, that was People for Better Treatment. People for Better Treatment versus Union of India, and this was a direction given on 30th April 2020. Now, here in this case, the Supreme Court, a writ petition was brought before the Supreme Court that said that certain directions should be given to the ICMR, that is the institution relating to the medical, that they may issue the directions to this medical board, and relating to what? Relating to the change in the treatment, that the Supreme Court should issue the guidelines as to what treatment is to be administered on the patient, and these guidelines were to be given to the authority, that is the medical authority, and for the better treatment. So here the Supreme Court has denied and refused that Supreme Court cannot pass this type of the order, because it is the reasonability, it is the reasonable person who can do the better things, better treatment. Judges are not the doctors. It is the doctor who can better understand as to what medicine has to be given, what medicine has to be administered to the person concerned for a particular, we can say, disease. So how the court can give the direction? So this type of the cases were started coming up before the Supreme Court, and saying that the Supreme Court should give the orders, or Supreme Court should give the direction. So the Supreme Court has refused that. Supreme Court cannot give the directions as to what treatment has to be given to a person who is corona affected, or not affected, and this is better for the doctors concerned, that they should decide what medicine has to be administered, what treatment has to be given to the patient, and no guidelines can be given. So this was the case of People for Better Treatment. Then another thing which is related to the person regarding the ration card. You all may be aware in the newspapers items that the ration was not being provided to the persons who are in need of the, or the ration card holders persons, and the policy is to be made that they should be provided ration to all the persons who have the ration card. So or the ration should be provided to all the persons who are not having the ration card even. So here the case was filed by a welfare society, that is IOM Welfare Society versus Union of India. IOM Welfare Society versus Union of India. It was decided on 30th April 2020. And here the court said that ration to people without ration card, this is a policy issue and this has to be taken care with by the government concerned. And the Supreme Court has not given any direction. But after this case, IOM case, which was filed before the Supreme Court for giving ration to those who are not having the ration, then the executive has come, the ministry has come with the policy that one nation, one ration card. And it has been started in various states. It is going to start in some other states also, that if you are having a ration card, then it is not required that you are the resident of UP and your ration card is from the UP, and you'll not get the ration in Bihar, or for that person in Rajasthan, or for in Madhya Pradesh. So if you are having a ration card, you can obtain the ration from any state, anywhere. So one nation and one ration card policy has been started by the Supreme Court in this particular, by the executive, after the decision of the Supreme Court in that case. Then another thing which was there decided by the Supreme Court, and that here from the Supreme Court started to put certain monetary fine also on the person, because these type of the cases were now coming to the Supreme Court, and the floodgate has been, we can say there was a floodgate of this type of the cases. The persons, they were in the name of publicity only, they started coming to the Supreme Court, that if the case would be decided by the Supreme Court, they will be getting certain fame or some fame in their name. So the Supreme Court started this time for putting certain, we can say, this monetary fine to the person concerned. And the case is, this is Shamshad Qureshi versus Union of India. This was the judgment of 11th May 2020, where a case was filed before the Supreme Court that the term social distancing is derogatory. The term social distancing is derogatory, and this should be treated as self-isolation. Because you see, somewhere this social distancing is also being said as the physical distancing, and the persons who are aware of the history of Article 17 of the Constitution, which speaks about the untouchability, they may be aware of that what type of the distancing and the social stigma was there in picture. So this time again, if we will be saying that this is social distancing, then it would be a wrong treatment for the persons who are now coming, or being inclusion is made in this society. So this type of the word social distancing should not be there, and this should be known as the self-isolation. So the Supreme Court said that just in order to get certain fame, you are challenging the policy of the government. You are challenging the policy of the word large at level, because social distancing is a term which is not initiated in India. Social distancing is something which we find that everywhere in the globe, every time they are using the term social distancing, and the very purpose of this social distancing is that to distance a person who is sick from the person who is not sick. A person who is infected of the virus is to make a distinction from the person who is not affected by the virus, that is coronavirus. So the social distancing is only in order to stop the spread of the virus. It is not for the purpose that the person is blaming other, or it is for putting certain social stigma on the person. And these type of the cases, if it will come to court, then naturally the court's precious time would be killed and the proper directions would not be given. So in this Shamshad Qureshi, what the court did is that it has imposed a 10,000 rupees fine on Shamshad Qureshi, that social distancing cannot be called self-isolation, and social distancing would remain social distancing. Then another case in which the Supreme Court has put a great fine, that is of 1 lakh rupees, that is Prashant Kumar versus Union of India. Prashant Kumar versus Union of India of 15th May, another case. And in that case, what the Supreme Court has done, that the Supreme Court has imposed rupees 1 lakh fine on Prashant Kumar. Why? Because he has brought the case before the Supreme Court to have an order or direction to the states concerned that they should stop the sale of wine. Now, there are so many memes also, you must be aware on the social media, that the government couldn't survive without the sale of the this wine, and because of the revenue which it is getting, it's not able to provide the food to the persons who are not having the food because of the shutdown of various employments, and they are they have been put out from the employment, they are not having the wages. So on that basis, the sale of the wine has been started, and the case was filed before the Supreme Court. And this Prashant Kumar case, that this sale of wine has to be stopped. And the court said that no, it cannot be stopped. This is a decision of the executive, and that's why the executive, as the best person to decide, you are putting a fine of rupees 1 lakh. So this 1 lakh fine has been put on the this petitioner. In this case, this is Prashant Kumar versus Union of India. Then another case which was decided by the Supreme Court was related to this six laborers who were mowed down by the goods train in Aurangabad, because the migrant laborers, they were coming to their native places or to their villages on foot, because we all know that the entire transportation was under the lockdown. It was all stopped, and they were started moving on their own, either on their own foot or cycle, rickshaw, whatever means of travel they were having, they were started. And the six laborers who were on the rail track, they were sleeping because they have been fatigued fully and tired, and they couldn't hear even the horn of that goods train, and they were all mowed down and died in that case. The case was filed before the Supreme Court in Alok Srivastava versus Union of India, to give a direction that the state should be given the direction that these laborers should not go on foot. They should not go on foot, and they should wait for the any of the any of the means of the travel. So the Supreme Court has dismissed this case and has not given any direction, and it is on the state government to decide that how they have to bring these migrant laborers on their own by by applying certain buses or travel or trains or whatever it is. So after this 15th May, you see, when this decision was given by the Supreme Court, the executive has come into action, and various states have started to flying their buses from one state to another state, and they have started bringing back to the migrant laborers from one state to another state. So these were the cases of the Supreme Court, which in which they have given the directions right from 10th March till we can say 15th May, and the directions are still in the are coming up. And from the judiciary, whether it be the high courts or it is the Supreme Court, there are number of decisions. So you may tell me whether I am having some more time, may I go to the high courts also for this or not? May I go